My name is Mike Troy. I have been on active duty status since 2003 and currently still am. My military occupational specialty is intelligence. I'm a member of the U.S. Army. This is my personal endorsement for Ron Paul for president. He has been referred to as the champion of the Constitution and the champion of liberty for quite some time. Only Congressman Paul takes his oath seriously. Everyone else just seems to say it as part of a formality of being sworn into office. The Constitution was not intended to be a suggestion. It was meant to limit the size and role of the federal government. Is it perfect? No, of course not. But it's ours, and it's the most sublime document ever written by human intelligence. We may not agree with it from time to time, specifically those on Capitol Hill, but it is the role of our elected leaders to follow it. In a recent debate, the other top-tier candidate in the GOP race proved he had no idea what the Constitution says. In an apparent attempt to lighten the awkward moment, he actually turned to Ron Paul for help. We were then masterfully given a lesson on a certain amendment and how it affected the topic at hand. Dr. Paul is a veteran, one of two candidates who can claim that. He and Newt Gingrich recently sparred over military service by comparing family situations at the time. Newt was married with a child. He was deferred. Paul was married with 2 children, yet he still went. Basically, Ron Paul wants to take over the federal government and then return it to its originally intended role. That role has 3 parts: national defense, low taxes, and to provide a sound currency. The other candidates seem to want to control your life, your religion, your bedroom, your habits, based on how they think you should live. Now, when both the Democrats and Republicans don't like you, you know you're onto something. The establishment does not want him to get elected. He would simply throw a monkey wrench in the machine that is known as Washington, D.C. Now, his foreign policy is labeled dangerous. Well, how about we ask combat veterans who their top choice is? Paul's top 3 campaign contributors are the U.S. Army, Air Force, and Navy. Americans claim they support the troops. Well, how about listen to them for a change, instead of superficial handshakes and meaningless yellow ribbons? I am a 2-time combat veteran. I've wasted 24 months of my life in Iraq. How all these so-called conservative Christians who claim they're pro-life can so easily want to bomb another country is beyond me. Now, call me crazy, but isn't everything they're saying about Iran more or less the same things that were said about Iraq 10 years ago? Iraq definitely had weapons of mass destruction. Oh, wait, they didn't. And it's cost us over 8,500 American lives and put us trillions of dollars in debt. But we're safer and richer now, right? Again, no. Dr. Paul is the only ideal candidate because the others will have to spend their entire presidency explaining previous flip-flops and clarifying their positions. President Paul could get right to work. He could do that because he has held the same constitutional positions for over 30 years. Now, you say what you want about him, or what you think you know, especially if your only source of news is the mainstream media, but if you're not a Paul supporter, odds are you simply don't really understand his platform. He is not an isolationist. He is not anti-Israel. He is not a racist. News programs such as Fox and CNN, or any other mainstream outlet for that matter, would definitely have you believing otherwise. Yet, if you research his platform yourself, you would surely see what the rest of us already know. No other candidate has offered real cuts, including $1 trillion during year 1, or a balanced budget during year 3. No other candidate really seems concerned about securing our borders. Rather, they're more fascinated about the borders 7,000 miles away. No other candidate has offered to take a presidential salary of less than $40,000. No other candidate has opted out of his government pension program. No other candidate knows how we got into this mess, let alone how to really fix it. Paul also understands that most of our issues are actually connected to one another. Now, granted, Paul is not the most polished speaker, but a president doesn't really need to be. He doesn't even need to look presidential. He just needs to act and perform presidentially. Anyone can slick their hair back and rehearse talking points until the end of time, but to me that sounds more like a game show host. What does a president need to do? Know the Constitution, follow the Constitution, and defend the Constitution. After all, without it, there's no oath and no principles which we're supposed to live by. Ron Paul is the only candidate to fit that description. Now you claim you support the troops? Support the man whom they support. Now granted, not every troop is behind Paul, but as mentioned before, he receives more money from the military than everyone else combined. That is my personal endorsement for Ron Paul for President 2012.